Now continue with the exercise 6 of the Microsoft Cortana Intelligence Suite workshop. From the README file, scroll all the way down and click exercise 6. This exercise, we are going to use Power BI Desktop and create a report to visualize the data. First, we need to connect to the virtual machine and then download the Power BI Desktop and then just configure the report or create a report. I have already logged into the lab virtual machine, so we will continue with task 2. Task 2, to download the Power BI Desktop. To do that, I will just search Power BI Desktop. Okay, click download. To download the Power BI Desktop program, I'll take the 64-bit. Next. Okay, so finish the downloading. I'm going to close this tab and bring up the File Explorer and go to the download. And that is the desktop. Click that. Go ahead and run it. And I'm going to minimize this. Okay, go to next. And of course, you do want to read the license agreement and agree with it. Next, I want to take the default. Yeah, go ahead and create a desktop icon for me. Okay, finished. And let's go ahead and bring the Power BI Desktop up. Okay, we finished the installation. Let's go back to the instruction and see what to do next. So we need to do get data and connect to Azure in our Spark cluster. And we need to provide the URL of the Spark cluster. Once we make the connection, then we start create our Power BI report. Okay, so let's do get data from Azure Spark cluster. Do a connect. We're gonna OK that. We need to provide the URL. So go back to our Azure workshop environment, look at our resource group, and that is our Spark cluster. And that's the URL. Let's do a copy and come back here and do a paste. Okay. Cortana. Connect. Okay, once I make the connection, and this is the data set that we want. So I'm going to highlight that and let us preview. All right, it took about 45 seconds. So this is a summary table that we have created in exercise 5. And let's just go and click that and load it. Okay, now the data set's been loaded because you can see that it has populated the columns for us. So this time we can go ahead and start creating the report. Let's go back to the instruction. Okay, now we are on task 3 to create a Power BI report. We will click the globe icon, and then we want to drag and drop the latitude, longitude information of the airport, and also the number of delays. Okay, so click the globe icon. It populates the components for us, and you can resize it if you want to, but let's just go ahead and drag and drop. First, we want the airport longitude and latitude information into the location. We want the number of delay into the size. Okay, and then we can, let's just put it in half of it. So that will be the map. It's the map component. The next is to do the stack column chart, and we want to drag the day to the axis and the average delay probability to the value. Stack chart is right here. Click that, and we want it to go across the bottom half. And we want to drag day to the axis and the average delay probability to the value. Okay, now go back to the instruction, day to the axis, average delay probability. Okay, that's what we have. And finally, do a tree map and origin airport code to the group and number of delays to the values. So we want to click the tree map. Now at this time, I'm still pointing to the stack chart components. So I can just click the white space to deactivate it and then click the tree map and also change the size as preferred. The next is to drag the origin airport code to the group and the number of delays to the values. Okay, and that is basically the report. Let's just make sure we got everything we need. Let's go back to the instruction, origin airport code to the group, and values to the number of delays to the values. And that is the report. Let's go back. So this is a report, and because Power BI kind of link all this data for us, for instance, if you highlight and it responds to the other components as well, right? And the same thing if we move to the tree map. Right. And the same thing with the map, right? You can click a particular one, right? So you can really have a lot of fun time here and do this all day long. And this is really easy. It's just drag and drop. So for your report designer, they will use something like Power BI and generating spectacular reports. Now we can save this report. So we can do a file, save as, yes, and we save it. And now let's go ahead and close it. Then you can share out this report, right? And for any authorized user, if they can see this report, they can access data and all that. So for an authorized user, they can simply run the report, spend all day doing this. And that is exercise 6. Let's continue with exercise 7. Exercise 7 is to deploy a web application and to consume the resources. Now the application has been created for you already. So just click this. And this is where the application is. Again, we have one-click deployment to Azure. And you just populate the information that's required to deploy this application. And for instance, you need to provide the API key, the service ID, workspace ID, which we have saved the information from exercise 1. And you also need to provide a weather API key to retrieve the real-time weather information from exercise 1, remember? First, let's put in the API key. Copy. Okay, I'm gonna paste it in. For the workspace ID, remember workspace ID is the string after the subscriptions. Paste it in. Then service ID, which is a string after the services. Service ID. And finally, you need to get the weather API key. Go to your Weather Underground website, and you need to have an account, and then you can log in. Once you log in, under More, that is your API key. Okay, I've acquired a key already. We can go ahead and deploy. Okay, let's go ahead and deploy the website. This took about a minute. We can now go to our application. So this is the application. Before changing anything, let's just click Predict Delay. And we got 2.88% with the weather information. So this is good. So let's just do a little test. Let's say we go from San Francisco to Phoenix to Miami. And the date will be 19. And change the time to 14. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Carrier, let's do AA. Predict delay. Got 5.5% in a different weather. So that's kind of cool. Let's try it one more time. Let's this time go from Atlanta to, let's say, to Phoenix. And let's do 16, which is tomorrow. And the time will be 11 o'clock in the morning. And let's change to what else we have. How about United? All right, 7.22%. And that's great. I think it's working. Now, how good it is, that's a different story. That based upon the information you provide, the algorithm you use, garbage in and garbage out. What we show you is all the operation, the components, put everything together. It is very doable. And so now what we need to make sure is the data are good and we got a good algorithm that can do the prediction for us. We're almost done with the workshop. So let's go back to the instruction. So for exercise 8, clean up Azure resources. So we just need to delete the resource group, assuming you deploy everything to the same resource group. And so it's basically one operation, you can delete the whole thing. So we can go to the resource group and just click delete. So you need to type the exact same name. That's yc-cis and the delete button enabled. Click that, it would delete the entire resource for me because I have deployed everything into the same resource group. This will do it. And that's the end of the workshop. I hope you enjoy it, and I have a lot of fun doing this. I want to thank Microsoft for this content.